Hello everyone, this is Jasmina, and in this video I'm going to talk about ways to improve your career, mostly through things other than Chinese metaphysics. But Chinese metaphysics can help. First off, Feng Shui is not a miracle cure for improving your career. It is not magic. What Feng Shui can do for you is to help you improve your ability to master existing skills, learn new skills, and become more likable and more confident. And these are how they work to improve your career. You still need to put in the effort to learn and to improve. If you don't, Feng Shui will do nothing for you. Most people who have trouble with advancing in their career often think about why. And there are several reasons that happen quite frequently. By far, the biggest one is that you lack the new skills that you need, and you are not better than others with your existing skills. This is way over 90% of the reason why somebody is not promoted or gets a substantial raise. Most people don't think this is true, but they think they have the skills, but really other people have more skills than they do, and they're going to get the raises and the promotions instead of you. So this is really the biggest deal. Occasionally, there will be problems with personal relationships, which basically means how well you get along with others. But I will tell you this, if you are able to do the job better than others, it doesn't matter if you're a total jerk. You will get promoted above somebody who doesn't have the skills. But if you are a jerk and there is somebody else who has equal skills to you, you won't get promoted. So that's how this works. And this is why it's only like 5 to 10% of the reason why somebody's not being and getting an advance in their career. Sometime your company or your industry is in trouble. Now this varies by circumstances, so I'm not going to give it a percentage, but there are usually warning signs. And one of the prime ones is this. If the company has been hiring on basically a steady pace, not like if they've suddenly had to hire a bunch of people and then it slows down, well, if they go back to their normal pace, it's okay. But if hiring and promotions slow down a lot or stop, and the economy is not in recession, then there's something wrong. It's either with your company or your industry. And if it's with your industry, you usually can find out by surfing on the web. If it's your company, everybody else in the industry will do fine, or at least most other companies will be doing fine, but your company's in trouble. And if that's true, it may be time to look for a job in another company. But if it's industry-wide, it's time to look for a new career. And if you were one of the first ones looking for a new career, you'll be way ahead of everybody else. So this is something that does happen. Industries do go out of fashion, or maybe out of fashion isn't the right word. They become obsolete. That's better. And I can give you an example that nobody's going to have much emotional ties to. Back in the early 1900-something, Ford Motor Company came out with the Model T, which was the first car that the average middle-class person could afford. And if you were a farrier, that is someone who makes horseshoes and shoes horses, you found your industry was in trouble because a lot of people swapped out their horses for cars. And they're still farriers today, but they are a tiny, tiny fraction of the original ones. that were there in 1900. And so this happens in industries even today. But we are in the midst of a few of these things happening. One other big problem is attitude. And once you realize this, that the universe does not owe you a good career, you have a different perspective. A good career takes hard work. It really does. You cannot expect to have a good career unless your parents own the business, unless you work hard. And this is just a fact of life. So I want you to put yourself in your boss's shoes for a second. And I want to have you think of team games. So these are games you play on your cell phone or on your tablet. And the team game is one where everybody needs to contribute towards a common goal, and then everybody gets rewards, and they're shared equally. So what happens when a team member doesn't contribute to the goal? Sometimes it's only happens once in a while, and then that's not a big problem. But if it happens continuously, they're kicked out of the team. And that's equivalent to what happens with careers. And for a business, it's actually a lot more serious than just a game. It's the life or death of the business. So this is why bosses can be quite a pain sometimes. But they are trying to keep their business in good shape, and so that so they can keep a job too. So you shouldn't blame your boss if you are not up to par. And here's where you have to really take a hard look at yourself and assess how you rank among your colleagues. And these aren't the only reasons why you might be having problems with your career. There are other reasons which are a lot harder to define. But these are the ones that, let's say, are the more common problems. So the one thing I think is a good idea is to start listing your skill sets. And these can be sets that have to do with work or sets outside of work that really you never use at work, but they're still part of your skill set. And you should write them down. And you want to do this in an area of your house where you have the facing star 9 in your flying star chart. And after you've listed them, you need to evaluate them on a scale of 1 to 3. Now, I consider level 1 functional but not efficient. I consider myself to be at that level when it comes to my website. It took me several months to get that website up, and I had a book that was pretty useless, but I really just went through the web and found out how to do it. And I coded it myself. I did not use a service because I didn't want a bunch of ads on my website because they're very distracting. Level 2, I consider basically up to par. That's an average person. If it's a work-related skill set, that's the average person in your office or in your company at your level. And I think I'm getting close to that with my ability to make videos. But and I know a lot of things I could add to the videos, like music and transitions between slides, but I just think they're a distraction. I would like to add music, but I can't find the right one, and I'm not paying for music. And when it comes to doing music myself, I'm at a level 0, so that won't happen. Level 3, this is where you want to be. You're faster than most people, and your colleagues come to you with their questions and you can answer them correctly. And if you don't know it, you might know someone who, you might be able to direct them to someone who does, or you can search a little bit for them in your spare time, and you're willing to do this, and you do actually help them. This is level 3. You must be at a level 3 to expect a promotion or a raise. If you're not at a level 3, you're going to get the raise, but you're going to get the raise like everybody else does. That's basically a cost of living raise. And you won't get promoted unless they're desperate. And that's just the way it is. Now, I have been level 3, like people come to me and ask questions and various different things in my life, but this is what your goal should be, is a level 3. Now, if you want to move up to a higher level job has different skills required than your current job, you must show you're interested in the topic and are quick enough to learn to a level that if you got the promotion in 3 to 6 months, you're up to par. That's kind of what we're talking about. Now, so this means you need to list the new skill sets you would need and start learning them. You don't have to complete learning them before you ask, but you can show what you know. Now, if you don't know what the new skill sets are, if you know someone who has that job and you actually know them and they're willing to talk to you, you may take them out to lunch or something and mine their knowledge for what new skill sets you need. Of course, there's a more direct way. It's most effective, but it's also maybe most painful. You can ask your boss, and you basically say to your boss, what skills do I need to learn to help the business? And it's important that you say the business, not your ability to move up in the company. Now, unless your boss is very new, he will know that's what you're asking for, is you are asking what you need to learn so that you can get a promotion. But you should say it, what you need to make the business better. Now, that they may come up with something right away, especially if they've been looking for someone. Otherwise, it might take a while. Whatever they tell you they need, you need to start learning it, even if you don't find it appealing, even if you actually hate it, because this shows you're dedicated, and that will mean that when the next time a promotion is in line, you will actually be on the list. And this will allow, you probably won't have that same skill needed in the new job. But if you become good at it, you probably actually find you like it. When you're good at something, you tend to like it. So this is another question you need to ask yourself. Why are your skills not better than almost everybody else? A lot of times it's lack of motivation. Other times it's difficulty in learning something new, so you just can't seem to get ahead. And if you think you need additional education and you lack the money, that can be a problem. When it comes to lack of motivation, if you improve all of your skills to at least level 2, this means that you can do the job efficiently. There isn't part of it that bogs you down and that you absolutely dread. And when you're up at least level 2 for all of the skills needed, then the job is a lot more pleasant. And then you have time to think about what else you could do to make it better. Whereas if you're just struggling to get the job done, you don't have time to think about anything else. You just are trying to get the job done. BaZi analysis may also help. And this does depend a bit on what your BaZi looks like, whether or not this helps. You can have a BaZi that looks basically balanced or unbalanced. A balanced chart will have all the skill sets, or all the, I'm sorry, this is your 5-element chart. And this is what it actually looks like a bit on the bottom of the second page of the Joey apps, on the left-hand side of the Joey app thing that you're going to get out when you use his free BaZi calculator. And it will be a pentagon, and it'll have some 20% lines. And if all of your levels of elements are within 20% of another, and I mean, this isn't perfectly balanced, but it's close. This means that we would call this a balance chart, and it's good for health, but it's hard to find a passion. And that's because there's bits and pieces about all different aspects of jobs of various types that you find interesting, but nothing really draws you in. Whereas if you have an unbalanced chart like this, where there's a real winner and then there's a loser, and then this is actually much poorer for health, but it's much, much easier to find a passion, because you're going to automatically be drawn to whatever this is. You'll find it interesting. You usually find it easier to understand. So and when you're good at something, it's easy to like. So this, if your BaZi looks like this could be why you haven't found your passion. And you might never find that real kind of passion that a person with a chart like this may find. But you can still really find your job rewarding if you get very good at it, because you'll get paid a lot. And that's the way it works. Now, if you have difficulty learning something new, you really do need to set up ideal conditions to do that. So that means having a space that you set aside at home to study. And that's even if you're not in school, if you're just working. And you have to make it work for you. And I'm going to talk more about this in a few slides, but it's, for example, if you need quiet, you have to have a room that you can shut the door and keep out most of the noise. Especially if you're living with others. If you like to have background music or activity, you might even consider studying in a cafeteria or a coffee shop or something like this, where you do have this energy. It depends on your personality, which is better for you. But you do want to try to set up those right conditions. Feng Shui can help, and I'm going to talk about that in a few slides. Now, lack of money for additional education is a problem for many people. If you learn to budget and you cut out most unnecessary expenses, you can get a degree without borrowing money. I actually went all the way through grad school without borrowing money, but it was very hard, and I did have to get a little help from my parents. But if I couldn't have gotten that, I could have still, could have gotten a very small loan, like about $5,000, and I could have graduated. I probably wouldn't even need that much, but somewhere around that. And that's a reasonable amount. You don't want to borrow a lot. And I actually consider student loans here in the United States as predatory or near predatory. Now, there are true predatory student loans, and the government has recognized that and are allowing people to get out of that because they were misrepresented. But student loans are different than any other kind of loans. You cannot get out of them if you go bankrupt. They're the only loan like this. And And these loan officers will tell you, oh, you don't need to reduce your standard of living when you're a student. Well, if you actually do, if you don't want to have to owe a whole ton of money. And when I was in school, I did not even see a movie a week or a year. I basically didn't go out to eat. I didn't go watch movies. Now, if you're really passionate about what you're doing, you can do that. But you have to be passionate about it. Otherwise, it gets boring. Now, you can also consider going to community college, and I started in a community college, and or you can do some sort of apprentice at work, or some companies will actually pay for you to go to work or go to school. So those are all good things. Community college is really good to teach the first 2 years, and that's basically what they really only give 2-year degrees. I don't know if there's equivalent colleges in other countries, but this system is really good. And I can give you an example. When I started community college, my first math course was calculus, and that's because my math was up to the standard to be able to do that. And by the time I was finished with my 2 years, I had finished differential equations. Now, I was so much better when I went to the university. I was so much better at the math skills. It was so much easier for me to do because at the community college, I was among the elite students. So I had the best teachers, and they really wanted you to learn. Whereas at the university, calculus is considered a weed out class to get rid of the people who just aren't already prepared to actually have already had at least some calculus, and I hadn't when I went to college. Also, if you do have to borrow the very minimum you can borrow, because this will, the only way you can get out of a student loan is basically dying or becoming so disabled you can't do any type of work. And I really think that student loans are evil. Now, some people are luckier than others when it comes to natural talents, and that's just a fact of life. So grumbling about it won't do any good. If you are lucky to have some natural talents, be happy, work hard, and help others learn. This will actually help your career, especially helping others learn. If you're not lucky in terms of natural talents, you have to work harder, and you have to ask people to help you learn. You don't ask them to help you do something, you ask them to teach you how to do something. Now, the two strongest natural talents are the ability to learn fast and the ability to be very personable. And most people are better at one of these than the other. And very rarely do they come together. Occasionally they do, but most often they don't. And when you want to look for one of these skills to improve, your personality will help you make the decision which path to take. And Feng Shui can help you with either of these. And of course, if you're personable, a sales job, maybe marketing, being a PR person, those are all very good for someone who's very personable. Whereas all the technical stuff, this is really good for fast learners. And you can become a faster learner. It all kind of builds on itself, but you have to start. Becoming very personable has a lot more to do with your personality. If you're introverted, this is very hard to do, but you can still get better at it too. Again, it builds on itself. So here we finally get to the real Feng Shui. How can Feng Shui help? It can help you learn faster and better. And by better, I mean you understand the material more thoroughly and you understand how it links to the material you already know, because that helps you remember things better. So the way you use this is you want to study in one of the following locations, and you want to face your growth direction when you study. And that's based on your par number, and I'll have a table near the end of this video that will give you all this information. You want to use the sector of your residence that has a facing star 4 or a facing star 1 in your flying star chart. And there'll be a few charts that have a combo of 4 and 1 in either order as the facing and sitting stars. That's really the best location if you have it. Most houses do not, but a parent string house has this combo. Now, the room that you're working in must receive qi. So you do have to you have to look at qi flow, and I have a video about this, so you can do this. Of course, this means you have to know your flying star chart, and I'm assuming that you're able to do that. You can also use time. So the annual star and the monthly stars move around the chart from year to year and month to month. And if you can find a month or a year where the star 1 enters the location where you have a facing star 4 in your flying star chart, or where the 4 enters the 1, that's the most ideal situation. And you could double up 4s or double up 1s. That's also okay. Now, I'm hoping that at least one of these rooms is available to you. But if you have both rooms available, or both areas, and if you're in a studio apartment, you probably do. And if you are in a studio apartment, you can still use this. You just use that sector. You lay the compass over your floor plan. And I do have a compass available for free that has the information that you need in terms of direction, that is. And if one works better for you, use that room. And I would say switch off a few times. Some people respond better to 4. Some people respond better to 1. And you just use the room that works better for you. And if they work equally good, then just choose the room you like better. Now, you can also use this combo of annual or monthly star 1 and 4, where you have your facing star 9. And this is a really very good time to work from home, if you can work from home. You can also learn here too, but this is a really good time to do it. Now, a monthly star will occur at least once a year in both of these and in this location. At least once a year, you'll have the 4 or the 1 enter it. And use it, really use it. It gives you an extra boost. Now, you also need to create a space that works for you with your likes and your preferences. So your space can be noisy or quiet. It depends on what you need. There's no right answer here. And there are people who want it quiet sometime and maybe a little bit of music in the background. Other times, that's fine. Whatever works for you at that particular time, that's what you should do. Now, if you can paint your walls, that is if you're not renting, you could paint your walls a color that you enjoy looking at, or you can place an appealing piece of artwork that relaxes you, and the color should relax you. And this helps you take in information better when you're relaxed. And that's kind of the whole point of this. Now, if you're a pacer and you think well when you're pacing, create space to pace. It may not be in that room. In fact, most often you're going to have to leave the room or leave the sector because you don't want to have to be going around in small circles. That's okay. As long as you come back to that space after you finish your pacing, and you start there too, of course, this will help you. And some people are pacers, other people are not. And it's what works for you. So when it comes to becoming more likable, Feng Shui can help with that too. You want to use the sector of your residence with your personal peach blossom location, which will be an animal sign, or the annual star 4. And here you're trying to improve your ability to interact politely and warmly, that is not aloofly, friendly with other people. And it's really good to place a mirror in this location where you can watch yourself interacting, even if you're just imagining scenarios. And maybe you watch a few videos of people you find personable and see if you can copy some of their behaviors. And you will need a mirror for this, because this is something you have to watch yourself doing. You want to face your longevity, which I call the health direction. And again, the room must receive qi. To be able to communicate better, you want to use the area in your house that has the annual star 6 or has your intelligence star. And this again will be an animal sign. And this will allow you to listen better and communicate better. And listening is more than half of communications. So listening is the thing many people have to work on. And this is not weird. I mean, this is kind of normal. And the people who are good listeners often have a better career. Here, you want to face your 6 killings, which I call lost opportunity direction. And again, the room must receive qi. And again, these 2 directions, I will give you a chart in just a couple slides so that you'll have all these directions listed for you. You have to have your craw number. Now, these 2, peach blossom and intelligence star, comes from your BaZi. Actually, it comes from your BaZi analysis. So you would probably have to have one that does it. I know that Joey Yap's site does, but many others do. Now, to have more confidence, you need to use the sector of your house that has facing star 3 or the annual star 3. And again, the room must receive qi. And here, what you do is you practice what makes you nervous. And if you do it in this location, it helps you get better at this more quickly, and that gives you confidence. It actually gives you courage. That's what star 3 does. And you want to face your growth direction. So here is the promise chart. If you are listing your skills or working, you want to be facing your success direction. For likability, you're facing your love and relationship direction. And for learning or gaining confidence, it's your growth direction. And for bettering your communications, it's the Liu Sha, which is total or loss of opportunity, which sounds bad, but it's loss of opportunity to speak and more opportunity to listen. Now, as I said, the personal peach blossom and intelligence stars are from your analysis of your BaZi. They will be an animal sign, and it will be in one 15-degree sector. I have a PDF file that you can print out on a transparency, and you can lay this over your house. It'll have all the directions, it'll have the animal signs, and I'll give it to you for free. Now, Joey Yap's free BAZI calculator will give you this information about your personal Peacock Blossom and your intelligence stars. But others will too. And if you do not want to use his website because you have to register and you get a ton of email, there are others out there. You may have to search a bit, but there are others out there. I'm quite sure that the Chinese Metasoft site does it, but it's unless you can do this in the free, like in the free trial, you will have to pay because they're not for free. They have, at least when I looked at them to begin with, they did have a cheap 1-month subscription. I don't know what it's like now. I haven't looked in a while. I do a yearly subscription. Now, if one of these rooms is not usable, you may be able to use the other location. And in all of them, there's at least 2 locations possible. But if neither location is possible, you can check to see if you can use an area immediately outside one of the unusable rooms. Unusable rooms would be like the bathroom. I mean, they're not very conducive to working or studying. It could be somebody else's bedroom, especially if you are renting a room. You probably only have real access to your one room. If that's the case, if you can't find a usable room for something that you need, and this may be in a big house, you may even have the whole house, but everybody else is occupying the other rooms, you can use small Tai Chi within your bedroom to do this. It's not quite as effective, and you would still look for the annual stars that enter your sector of the house. And because you don't like make a miniature thing of the annual stars, really. You usually only do this with your flying stars. But you can still use this. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank you for watching. Please feel free to contact me here if you have any questions. And if you are wondering, this is LLC, as in Limited Liability Company. It's not capital I's if you have trouble. And you can also visit my ad-free website where I have the converter for UTM North to True North. Some people need it, some people don't. But if you need it, it's there. I'd like to thank you again for watching.